The new Sonos Arc Ultra soundbar is here, and it's coming in hot with some pretty bold claims. 9.1.4 Dolby Atmos like never before, best-in-class vocal clarity, up to double the bass compared to the original Sonos Arc, new sound motion technology, which is one of the biggest breakthroughs in audio in the last 100 years. Now, these aren't claims that you can make without having some serious confidence in this new soundbar. Now, in this video, we're gonna not only go over all the new features and technology in the Arc Ultra and the new Sub 4 subwoofer, but we will also put them to the test to see how they stack up against the competition. Now, let's get started. Now, the first Sonos Arc came on the scene in 2020, and it really took the soundbar world by storm. In fact, we've continually stacked it up against the best soundbars each year, and time again, it makes our list of the top Dolby Atmos soundbars. Now, before we dive in, if you are planning on getting the new Arc Ultra or Sub 4 and you want to support us, you can order yours now at audioadvice.com to be among the very first to get them in your hands. You'll also get free shipping, lifetime expert support, and our price guarantee. I'll leave a link in the description, or you can scan the QR code here to check them out. Now, at first glance, the new Arc Ultra doesn't look much different from the original Arc. You still get that signature curved shape and low profile design. But when you look closer, you'll notice that the Ultra is about 1/2 inch shorter, which makes it easier to slide under a TV on a credenza, and it's about 1 pound lighter too. The main new feature here is the thin control panel on the back, where you'll find a voice control touch button, playback controls, and a volume slider. But the real upgrades live inside this soundbar. The first one I want to discuss is the groundbreaking innovation called Sound Motion. Sonos quotes this as a significant breakthrough in audio engineering that drastically reduces the size of the transducer while supercharging the bass, and it's the first time that they've used it in any of their products. However, this technology isn't exactly brand new. Sonos acquired a company called Maya a few years back that developed a version of this that was set to enable smaller and lighter form factors of transducers to have more output without compromising on quality. Now, this design places 4 lightweight motors in opposite corners, allowing the cones to move more air and enhance the bass. High-performance polymer suspension elements are connected to each motor, providing stability and enabling a full range of motion. And also, aluminum ribs firmly support these cones and link them to the motors for high performance in a compact sandwich enclosure. Now, the dual cones move in opposite directions, creating a force-canceling effect that eliminates any vibrations. And each motor also has dual magnets, which generate more magnetic force for a bigger, more powerful sound. Now, this new sound motion tech allows these transducers to be more powerful than traditional transducers that are up to 3 times the size, giving you exceptionally low and fast bass in a really small form factor. And while the Arc and Arc Ultra are both rated to go down to around 50 Hz, the Arc Ultra will have double the output, giving it a much greater impact due to the sound motion technology. Now, this Arc Ultra with its sound motion woofer is a powerhouse design with a 9.1.4 Dolby Atmos experience featuring a completely revamped acoustic architecture from the original Arc. It now has 14 drivers, up from the original Arc's 11. This includes 7 Silk Dome tweeters for clear highs, 6 woofers for the mid-range, and the sound motion woofer handling all the bass. Now, each driver is carefully positioned to enhance dialogue clarity and expand the soundstage. Now, you also have side-firing drivers that will project the sound from wall to wall, while those upward firing drivers will bounce the audio off the ceiling, delivering an immersive spatial experience. They've also optimized the design with custom collinear waveguides to evenly spread sound throughout your room for a balanced and more dynamic audio performance. Now, if you've ever watched a movie and struggled to hear what the actors are saying, you know just how frustrating that can really be. Now, most soundbars help with this, and that's one of the reasons that we really loved the original Arc. It made dialogue crystal clear, even in loud, action-packed scenes. With this new Ultra, they've taken it up a notch, improving vocal clarity even more. Plus, they've also added a speech enhancement feature that you can adjust directly in the Sonos app, so you can customize it to make every word stand out exactly exactly how you like it. Now, TruePlay room correction is still available on the Arc Ultra, but now finally it's available for Android users too, not just iPhone users. However, I do want to point out it's a little bit different when you use an Android, as it will use a feature called Quick Tune, which uses the onboard microphones to calibrate itself instead of the phone's microphones as it will do with an iPhone. Now, it's nice to see that Android users are invited to the party here, but you will still get a more full and advanced experience when you're using an iPhone and you use the TruePlay where you walk around the room, so we'd recommend that route if possible. You can still connect using the Sonos app over Wi-Fi for the best sound quality when streaming music, or you can use AirPlay 2, Spotify Connect, and now they've also added Bluetooth 5.3, just like their latest products have been doing. Plus, you can control it with Sonos Voice Control or Alexa with simple voice commands. However, I do want to note that Google Assistant has been removed. Now, there's also a handy switch right on the back to turn off the microphone if you want more privacy. Alright, besides the mic switch on the back, you've also got your single HDMI eARC port, a Bluetooth pairing button, and an Ethernet port for a more stable connection, which again, we always recommend to use if you can. Now, if your TV supports it, definitely go with the HDMI eARC connection. It's going to give you the best sound quality and lets you control the volume right with your TV remote. However, you can purchase a separate optical adapter if you do need to use optical cable from your TV. Now, one thing I do want to say here is that it would have been really awesome to see a few more HDMI ports on the back here for switching for those of us that have gaming consoles and a bunch of different sources that we could plug right in, but Sonos has decided to keep the minimalist back section with just the one HDMI eARC. Alright, now the last cool feature that I want to highlight here is the ability to send your TV audio from the Arc Ultra straight to your Sonos Ace headphones with just the press of a button. Now, when you do this, you get some awesome dynamic head tracking that adjusts the sound based on which way you're facing, keeping you right in the middle of the action. Now, when we tested it, we loved how quick and easy it was to get the sound right to our headphones. The head tracking feature is a fun touch that really amps up the immersive experience, but you do need to have those Sonos Ace headphones to experience it. Alright, as we mentioned earlier, the new Sub 4 is being released alongside the Arc Ultra, and it features a few upgrades from the Sub Gen 3. It's still the same shape with the dual force canceling woofers, but now comes in a sleek matte, black, or white finish. Now inside there is a new wireless radio that enables stronger connections to your other Sonos speakers, and it has increased memory and processing power to support future innovations. Now, while the Arc Ultra is advertised to have twice the bass output as the original Arc, it still can't reach as low as the Sub, which can go down to around 25 Hz. So adding a Sub will give you that low-end punch that really can just hit you right in the chest in your favorite movies. Now, all of these upgrades sound great on paper, but what everyone, including us, really wants to know here is how the Arc Ultra stacks up against the original Arc and other soundbars in this price range. Does it really deliver double the bass? Is the dialogue and vocals, are they really that much clearer? And do you still need to even add a subwoofer? Luckily, we got our hands on the new Arc Ultra and Sub 4 a little bit early to test this and find out. Now, we tested the Arc Ultra on its own, paired with the Sub 4, and in a full home theater setup with Era 300s as the rear speakers in one of our home theater test labs. Then, we compared it side by side with the original Arc and a few competitors, and what we found was pretty interesting. Setting up the Arc Ultra and Sub 4 was as easy as always with any Sonos product, thanks to their dedicated app. Now, we can't ignore the fact here that the app has been a really hot topic lately. Even Sonos knows that they missed the mark when they updated it a few months back, leading to bugs and missing features. Now, a lot of people have even started looking at alternatives from companies that have Hios and Bluos, but Sonos is still one of the biggest names in the game, making awesome products and constantly pushing the envelope on user experience. Now, they are working hard to fix the app, and we've seen a lot of updates already. Now, to make sure that this never happens again, their CEO has even announced a set of commitments and a renewed focus on software quality, customer experience, and excellence. So, while the app issues are really frustrating, we really don't think that there are good enough reason to write off these products completely. Now, with all that said, if the app is a deal breaker for you, we totally understand. It's definitely something Sonos is gonna need to rebuild their trust on with their customers. Now, luckily, in our testing of the Arc Ultra and Sub 4, we didn't run into any issues in the app with setup or using the products. Okay, so once we were set up, we started out with a few tracks that were actually recommended to us from Sonos. The first one we tried was A Concert 6 Months From Now by Phineas. This track starts out with some some beautiful, delicate acoustic guitar that just fills the entire soundstage. Phineas's vocals filled up the lower mids with a warm, rich, and full sound. Now, what really stood out to us was the way the subtle harmonies in the background of his voice, how they just really came to life, and each voice and instrument had its own spot in the mix. At about 1 minute 45 seconds in, the drums and other instruments picked up in the song, and the bass, even without a sub, had incredible depth and speed. Compared to the original Arc, the Arc Ultra sounded much closer to a true 2-channel setup with separate speakers. The vocals floated right in the middle, and the instruments were spread out with a sense of spaciousness throughout the entire soundstage. The extra bass from the Sound Motion tech was able to handle that low end of the mix just so much better, with so much more detail and punch, which really took the load off the other drivers to allow the vocals to really shine and stand out. Now, just after listening to this one song, even without attaching the sub, we have to say we were really impressed with this Arc Ultra. It was absolutely much better than our expectations, especially because we think the original Arc is already a pretty fantastic soundbar. But boy, Sonos has seemed to really figure something out here with this new Arc Ultra. Just to confirm our first impressions, we listened to some different songs like Von Dutch from Charlie XCX, Go Home by Lucius, and I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross. With each new track we tried, we were continually impressed with the low end in the Arc Ultra. Now, was it double the amount of bass output like they said? We believe maybe in a controlled test setting, yes, it can probably reach double the output. But in a real world test scenario with different music, we would probably say it's very close to being double, and it's certainly enough to notice it when comparing it side by side with the original Arc. And when it came to using these songs in Dolby Atmos, we felt that there was just definitely a better sense of precision and detail of where it placed certain instruments in the mix. Of course, when we added the rear surrounds, the Atmos song sounded even better. However, if you do have a smaller room with a hard, flat ceiling with nothing in the way, you can get a pretty fun 3D bubble of sound with just the soundbar itself. Okay, next we moved on to a few movies, and we tried out a few different clips for movies like Nope, Our Planet 2, Stranger Things 4, and Jurassic World Dominion. Now, let us just cut to the chase here. The Arc Ultra sounded better in just about every single way than the original Arc. But what really stood out here was the clarity of the dialogue in the movies. Even when we played a few clips from movies that had some poor and quiet dialogue in the mix, turning on that speech enhancement feature really seemed to fix it and make it more enjoyable of an experience. Now, it's a little bit hard to describe how this speech enhancement works, but it doesn't exactly make the characters' voices louder while drowning out the rest of the mix, but instead it just makes it so much clearer. Now, when adding 1 or 2 sub-4s, you're gonna get that deep, powerful bass that hits you right in the chest when there's a big explosion or earth-shattering roar in the film. And adding the Era 300s gives you that immersive bubble of Dolby Atmos sound. In fact, we found that sometimes the Era 300s were almost overkill with the original Arc, but with the new Arc Ultra, they seem to fit right in and give you an extremely balanced and powerful movie watching experience. So, what would we end up recommending here? Well, if you have a smaller room, the new Arc Ultra will give you incredible sound, and you may not even need a sub or surrounds to start off with. We found the original Arc to be one of the best soundbars on the market when it came to Dolby Atmos sound effects, and the Arc Ultra is even better. To our ears, it beats pretty much all of the competition on the market right now for Dolby Atmos sound effects when it comes to soundbars with no extra rear speakers. Now, we'd probably also place it in the top 3 at least when it comes to dialogue and vocal clarity, competing with soundbars like the DVLA Dion and Sennheiser Ambio, which are just about twice the price. So if you own the original Arc and have wished for a bit more bass and better dialogue clarity, you have our permission to upgrade to the Arc Ultra, and we think you will be very happy. Now, if you have a medium or large room, like say a living room or a media room, you'd still benefit from upgrading from the original Arc too. Now, adding a subwoofer will be what takes the performance of the Arc Ultra really over the top, but if you have the Gen 3, it will probably be less crucial for you to upgrade to the Sub 4. We found from our listening test that the increase in performance was very small, and we don't really feel the need to recommend that you upgrade unless you just want the absolute best that Sonos has to offer and have that future upgradability if it comes out with new software. Now, while the Arc Ultra certainly starts to make you wonder if you even need a subwoofer since it has more bass output, again, we'd probably still really recommend adding one if you can, if you plan to watch movies, because it can just reach so much lower and again, can make action scenes a lot more enjoyable. In fact, even when playing music, we found that adding a sub just makes the experience so much more balanced. So while the Arc Ultra definitely can stand on its own, much better than the original Arc can stand on its own, Adding a sub would be our first recommendation for better performance, even before adding surround speakers. Now, when we finally paired up the Arc Ultra with the Sub 4 and the two Era 300s as surrounds, the experience was just top notch for a surround sound system with a soundbar. While a setup like this isn't cheap at almost $2,500, it's still more affordable than something like the Sony Bravia quad system and a subwoofer, and arguably sounds maybe a little bit better. Now, of course, you can get very close to this setup with something like the JBL Bar 1300X or the latest Samsung or Sony flagship setup for maybe a little bit less money. But we'd argue if you really want an ultimate experience, that Sonos system with the Era 300s and subs will sound a little bit better and is probably worth the extra money. Now, we know that soundbars have a certain place in the market. They are much smaller than box speakers, they have easy setup without running wires all over, and you can usually place one right below your TV and be ready to go with some really good sound. However, when you do start getting into the price point of the Arc Ultra and begin adding rear speakers and subwoofers and accessories, we can't help but mention that there are some other alternatives that are gonna give you better sound that might be in this price range or just a touch above it, but they come at the cost of convenience. The speakers will take up more space in your room, and you'll need to plan to run wires all around the room, but if you are interested in a setup like that, and you don't really know where to start, you should reach out to our experts at audioadvice.com and we can help you determine if going that route will be better for you in the long run. All right, hopefully you have a good understanding of what Sonos has to offer with the new Arc Ultra and the Sub 4, and hopefully I've given you some good insights of whether you should upgrade your system or not. Now, if you do have more questions or you're still trying to figure out if the upgrade is worth it for you, we have experts waiting that just live and breathe this stuff. So please give us a call or chat with us at audioadvice.com. We'd be happy to help you out. Plus, if you want to be among the first to receive your new Sonos Arc Ultra or Sub 4, you can order yours right now and get free shipping, lifetime support, and a price guarantee at audioadvice.com. Now, if you want to continue to support us and you like this video, please give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.